Well, thank you for joining us at 6. I'm Rolly Hoyt alongside meteorologist Nathan Scott. Nathan, fair weather clouds replacing storm clouds tonight, but still just a couple of spots out there needing umbrellas.
Yeah, there's one lone troublemaker making its way through parts of Conway County at this time.
We're naming that Tom Brannon? I'm sorry.
Sure, why not? He's not here. So let's take a look at the radar right now because we do have pretty much dry conditions across a large part of the natural state, but there you see it. It sticks out like a sore thumb, and it's starting to produce some lightning around Salgahatchee. Plumerville, get ready to get wet. Morrilton, you'll also get wet from this cell as it continues to push its way down to the south for the most part. Also, one lone shower around Greenbrier, and that may try to push its way towards Wooster and Spring Hill if it survives. There's not much for these storms to hang on to, so they will fizzle out pretty quickly, but it could make its way down along Interstate 40. Temperatures, not too bad. 90 for July. Yeah, really can't complain about that. 89 Hot Springs, 91 in Camden, 89 in Searcy. Tomorrow we'll see more sunshine out there. We had the clouds this morning. With all that sun, temperatures will climb up into the low to mid 90s across the board. And with all the humidity, thanks to the soil moisture, it could feel maybe as high as 103 in Arkadelphia, feeling like 102 in Pine Bluff. It'll feel like 102 in Stuttgart. Get used to numbers like this for your heat index values. That'll be the story going into the weekend. I'll have more on that forecast coming up.
All right, Nathan, thank you. Tonight, the Arkansas Department of Corrections says personnel changes have been made after convicted killer Grant Harden escaped from prison back in May. The Board of Corrections hasn't shared too many details yet publicly as their investigation continues. We've requested public records from the DOC and we're waiting for a response. Harden, the former Gateway police chief, was serving time for rape and murder at the North Central Unit when he walked out on May 25th. Court documents say he wore a fake law enforcement uniform and slipped through a secure gate, bypassing normal checks. At a Board of Corrections meeting last month, board members said they didn't call this a policy issue, but a failure by 2 staff members.
The person that was responsible didn't do what he was supposed to do.
You need to keep in mind there was 2 of them that
Right.
if one hadn't have failed, the other wouldn't have the opportunity to fail, and vice versa.
And now we know specific firings are expected to be made public tomorrow. That's when state police and the entire DOC leadership team are expected to go over their findings at a legislative hearing. We'll have full coverage tomorrow evening. Well, it's been 5 days since the big, beautiful bill became law, and since then people have been poring over the mega bill looking for the little things tucked into its 1,000 pages that could have a big impact. Like, for instance, Teacher 11's Carter Thweet finding the spot on page 463 that could have a big effect on Arkansas gun owners.
At Arkansas Armory in Sherwood, owner Nathan House has been keeping an eye on the GOP's big, beautiful bill.
We follow a lot of legislation, both federally and on the state level, very, very closely.
And now parts of the bill will directly impact the firearm industry and House's store.
Whenever a customer wants to buy a silencer or a short-barreled rifle, they had to fill out a form, and as part of that process, pay a $200 tax to the federal government.
But now the bill says the tax will only stay in place for machine guns and destructive devices like grenade launchers. That means for things like suppressors and short-barreled rifles and shotguns, the tax will soon be totally gone.
The $200 elimination doesn't go into effect immediately. It actually doesn't start until January 1st of 2026 because of the language and how the timing works in the bill. So we're kind of on hold right now. Anything bought today would still be subject to the $200 tax.
And House believes this could lead to legal action down the road, as the $200 tax was part of the National Firearms Act of 1934. With the tax eliminated, he says other parts of the act could soon be challenged too, possibly leading to big wins for gun rights advocates and big losses for those in favor of gun control.
And that's opened the door to major challenges and major lawsuits that can then follow to eliminate the rest of the National Firearms Act potentially. So we could see some of the biggest changes since 1934 take place over the next couple of years.
In Sherwood, Carter Thweet, THV 11 News.
Carter, thank you. And some of that legal action has already begun. Just 2 days ago, the National Rifle Association announced plans to file a lawsuit that questions whether the Firearms Act is constitutional. President Trump signed an executive order that extends the 90-day pause on reciprocal tariffs. It's now out to August 1st. The move gives trading partners another 3 weeks to come up with a trade deal with the U.S. There are still some tariffs already in place that could affect your wallet. Right now, there's a 10% across-the-board tax on imports from all countries, with 30% on goods from China, 50% on steel and aluminum, and 25% on cars. Experts say that as right now, tariffs haven't led to inflation and higher prices, but they expect a potential rise in costs if they stay in place much longer. Tonight, the United States taking action to tighten security protocols for the country's agriculture industry. Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders on hand to help unveil the USDA Farm Security Action Plan. It lays out protections and prohibitions against foreign farm ownership, with a primary focus on keeping the Chinese Communist Party from buying up American farmland. And the plan is based on a framework that started here in Arkansas. The governor pointing that out after she signed the Communist China Defense Legislative Package from 2023 that banned the Communist Party from owning land near critical infrastructure and other restrictions. High water levels on the Arkansas River creating a choppy time for boaters and businesses, and experts say these issues could linger for months. THV11's Maya Ellison found out that while there's no flood, it is making it hard to work or play out there.
Rain out of Oklahoma has trickled its way down to the central Arkansas area, affecting waterways like the Arkansas River. Now, because of this, officials say it causes higher water levels than expected. That can lead to problems.
We're getting the consequences, if you will, from the rain to our friends from the west.
One of the state's busiest waterways is slowing down. With higher water levels affecting the river's flow, Port of Little Rock Director Brian Day says it changes how they operate day to day.
It takes longer to move barges to and from the docks because of the high water, because of the volume of flow. We have to work a little bit slower, be a little bit safer because the water conditions are not ideal.
In April, the Little Rock U.S. Army Corps of Engineers issued a small craft advisory for the Arkansas River. That advisory is still in effect. With the river moving swiftly, exceeding 70,000 cubic feet per second, it poses a hazard for boaters.
We have to be more extra careful. We have to make sure that our employees aren't hurt. We want to be a little bit more cautious.
This is pretty much an unprecedented year for us. Some of the smaller boats, they don't go faster than 5 miles an hour, so you would not be able to go upstream at all. You would actually be going downstream.
That's Steve Owen, president of the Little Rock Yacht Club. He says the message right now is simple: stay off the water.
It's just not safe to be out there right now, just because in addition to the water, you have limbs and trees and brush, and anything that's upriver that gets swept into the river is coming down.
While the river is below flood stage for now, that doesn't mean the risk isn't there. Here in North Little Rock, officials say parts of the Arkansas River Trail are underwater, prompting them to monitor conditions closely.
So high water has a far-reaching impact. In some places it floods. We're not flooding here, fortunately, but in some of the lower spots along the river corridor it floods. So this high water impacts a lot of people negatively.
Reporting for THV11 News, I'm Maya Ellison.
Maya, thank you. And those conditions will continue in the next week. The river levels expected to hit a maximum of 13.3 feet. For context, government flood monitors say 18 feet is what they call action stage. 23 feet is considered minor flood stage. And you think back to 2019, the river crested here in Little Rock at 29.7 feet during those severe floods. Well, a historic home destroyed in the Texas floods. We're going to show you the chaotic scene and the woman forced into the attic for survival. That's coming up when we come back.
And after yesterday's super soakers, things have backed off in terms of the coverage of rain. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, it's fairly isolated, and then it bumps up Sunday into Monday. I'll have a look at future radar and talk about hot and humid conditions going to the weekend coming up.
And here's a look at what's streaming tonight on the THV11 Plus app. Remember, you can download the app straight to your smart TV device and watch for free. Watch live or see your favorites like Eat It Up with Hayden Balgavy on demand. And speaking of Hayden, be sure to start your day with our expanded morning news and morning news team. We now have local news, weather, and traffic from 5 until 9 every weekday. Ashley King now working alongside Hayden, Karen, and Tracy. Keeping an eye on the roads is all available over the air and on your devices through THV11 Plus.